The Fanfiction Power Hour is a comedy podcast between friends that does not attempt straightforward readings. The links to the fanfictions are in the description if you would prefer an unaltered experience and to support the authors by giving the stories a like.
Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Jen and Wizzy's Fanfiction Power Hour. I am your host for tonight, Wizzy Puff, joined as always by the lovely Jen.
Hey. Hey.
I think she's broken.
I'm in a childish mood today.
That's perfect.
Wizzy, feed me.
Oh no. Luckily, I have formula for moments like this. Having to breastfeed Jen was the worst time of my life.
And I really regretted saying feed me because I was terrified that was going to be a sentence uttered or something similar to it.
Yeah. Being on a fanfiction podcast, I've seen a lot of breastfeeding stories in my day. That's not true. We didn't read anything like that on here.
We certainly haven't, not on here at least, but I certainly have seen a lot of stories like that in my day.
Oh no.
Good for some people.
You're really more of the historian when it comes to fanfiction on the podcast.
Yep. I've been around.
And I'm here to bring the zing.
Zing, obviously meaning a shrill humming noise.
Oh, is that like an onomatopoeia? Makes sense.
Yeah, I guess. I don't actually know what counts as an onomatopoeia. I just know that I like saying the word.
Things that are named after the sound they make. Like Pokemon.
Now, why would you mention Pokemon, Wizzy? You know I hate Pokemon.
Oh, that's because tonight we're reading Squirtle Goes to School by Eileen. In truth, we are going to be reading Twilight Takes a DNA Test by Dewdrops on the Grass. And if you remember that name, that's because they also made It's Lonely Out There, which we read on the podcast a few episodes ago. And thank you, Jen, for reminding me of that because I totally forgot.
Yeah, I was going to say you actually forgot. And also, it's not called It's Lonely Out There. It's called It's Lonely Out Here. It's very lonely out here. My bad.
Oh, yeah.
You fucked me up.
I forgot about the very. But in my defense, I did remember in my head saying here.
You did not, though.
It's lonely out there. All right. Should we just hop into it?
Yeah, I guess we could just do that.
Twilight Takes a DNA Test by
And
Dewdrop.
if you want to take your own DNA test, you can all go down in the description below and read this story for yourself.
Oh, God.
Then you can get a free DNA test because Dewdrops on the Grass says that they will give you one. That's true. Go check it out.
It's going to end up like freaking 23andMe going bankrupt and they have to sell everyone's DNA.
Yep.
All right. Twilight Takes a DNA Test by Dewdrops on the Grass. Chapter 1.
The only chapter.
Why would you expect anything else? Twilight stared blankly at the test results floating before her. Her muzzle crinkled in bemusement. Her ears drew back. Her left eye twitched every so often.
Are you sure this is accurate?
She said. I'm certain, Your Highness, answered the doctor. A distressed earth pony with a lemon-colored mane and tangerine coat, shaking on her hooves. She cowered before Twilight like a prostrating worshipper about to be struck down by a mercurial goddess. Taking a single step back, she bumped her rear into the door of the princess's study. Her eyes scanned the small room as if searching for an escape. Princess Twilight, for her part, found this display of fear irritating to her senses. She let out a quiet sigh and schooled her face to something more pleasant and diplomatic.
Citrus, please, try to relax. I'm not upset with you. I'm just confused.
Citrus's knees knocked together with a loud clack, the echo deafening in the small chamber. I understand, Your Highness, she said, her teeth chattering. I'm always this nervous.
This is the premier expert in genetics in Equestria? Good grief.
Resisting the growing urge to slam her hoof through her face, Twilight waved the sheet of paper in her magic, then gestured to a nearby armchair.
Of course, I understand. Shall we go over this, please?
Of course, replied the doctor as she jerked forward and collapsed into the armchair. Twilight let out another small, barely audible sigh and plopped herself down in her own chair behind the desk.
So, let's start with the basics.
Citrus leaned forward and hunched over the desk. So, as you'd expect, the vast majority of your DNA is Equus sapiens unicornis, specifically from the ethnic group of High Unicordia and Canterlot dominions. House Sparkle has been around for a very long time, after all. Twilight nodded. Now that they were getting into some details, her initial bemusement had transformed into academic curiosity.
Right, that makes sense. My mother can track our lineage back all the way to the first few generations after Princess Platinum.
Rolling her eyes, she muttered under her breath.
Not that she cares about it, being too busy throwing herself off Niagara Falls at least 5 times a day.
Oh, Niagara Falls.
So Twilight's mom is a daredevil.
Dang, is that true?
Yep. We don't really get much of their personalities until like season, I don't know, 7 or 8, when they go for a Zeppelin ride cross country, and Spike doesn't join them for some reason.
So she totally could be a daredevil.
Yeah, Twilight's mom is definitely shown to be a daredevil.
Nice. I thought she would have just been a stereotype. That's how I always kind of pictured Twilight's parents.
No, not entirely.
So, man, Twilight really didn't get anything from her mom.
She got the hair.
Okay, that's fair.
And the general, like, face shape. And hair is strong. Although that's not exactly true anymore.
She plays both?
She used to. And then in that episode I was referencing earlier, her voice changed, I believe.
She hit puberty.
Yep, Twilight's mom hits puberty pretty late in life. But hey, we respect it.
True. The doctor's right ear quirked up, a small grin briefly gracing her muzzle. This sounds like my brother. He's such a daredevil. Likes to ski on the most treacherous of mountains.
Really?
Twilight said, arching an eyebrow.
Is his name Double Diamond by any chance?
Citrus's pupils shrank into teeny tiny dots, her mouth falling open. How did you know that?
I know things, Citrus. I know things about you don't even know.
This picture, she stares at her wide-eyed and grabs the sides of her face.
Look into my eyes, Citrus.
Is Citrus an OC?
I'm pretty sure.
Okay.
I've never heard of her.
And you've even heard of Iron
Double
Will.
Diamond, yeah. Well, yeah. Obviously, I've heard of Iron Will.
I don't know who that is. If it's so obvious, why didn't we do the April Fool's episode about him?
Actually, you have heard of Iron Will, I believe.
Have I?
If I remember correctly, he had made a brief appearance in the sequel to Continue.
Oh.
Select difficulty?
Yeah. Oh. Was he around the Princess Pancake Maker?
No.
Oh, okay. I remember they had a bunch of onlookers for that, so I wasn't sure if that was the scene.
Tom, cut that out if I'm wrong, by the way. Ha! Score 1 for random guesses.
Twilight amused herself by forming her mouth into an enigmatic smile, just like Celestia used to give her all the time.
I'm the princess.
A faint blush blossomed on Citrus's cheeks. Wow, you're even more incredible in person than I'd heard.
Right, so Double Diamond, by the way, is he was Starlight's right-hand man in the town. You know, the town that Starlight used to control.
Oh.
And it was all communistic and stuff like that. Basically, he was brainwashed by her.
Happens with all communists.
Yep. Communism is a straight up lie.
Everyone knows it. That's why children's shows have to propagandize them early, to warn them of the dangers early.
Only you can stop a communist.
It's like Yogi Bear, but he's pointing at you like in the picture of Uncle Sam going, "I want you for the military," or whatever. Not Yogi Bear.
Yeah.
Freaking Smokey Bear.
Yogi Bear.
It's Yogi Bear.
Yogi Bear versus communism.
I want your picnic baskets. Twilight managed to resist the temptation to snort. Barely. Maintaining her enigmatic smile, she said,
So you were talking about the unicorn DNA?
"Oh." The geneticist shook her head rapidly, then focused on the paper sitting before her on the desk. Yes, well, if we trace the Equus sapiens unicornis DNA back to before the Exodus, we could see where it splits off from Equus sapiens progenitrix. Your DNA in total is at least 80% unicornis, which is much more pure than most ponies these days.
Yes, pure.
Oh boy, I know what that means.
Going from communism to fascism.
Yeah. I'm pretty sure, I'm just going to say it, I'm pretty sure her lineage has incest. How else is she going to have a line that pure?
Well, I mean, you can't. Physically, it's just not possible.
As far as I know. That's where unicorn magic really comes in handy in this show, because anything that seems off, I can just wave away.
Yeah. Like I said, long lineage.
A dark frown twisted Twilight's muzzle.
And a lot of my foremothers were my foreaunts as well. And a lot of my foremothers were not as open-minded as I am.
Man, I wish I could have 4 mothers. You know, one is good, but...
I know, right? Wouldn't that be awesome?
Yeah. If only I got to be raised by a lesbian polygamous relationship.
Not polygamous.
That actually does sound like that would be awesome to have 4 mothers.
4 mothers sounds great. Not polygamous. I say this as a Mormon, Wizzy. You don't want to say polygamous.
Sorry, polyamorous. That's what I meant to say.
Go.
I get those two confused way too often.
Yeah, unfortunately, it is fairly easy to get them confused if you're not either.
A cold chill ran through Twilight when she remembered the first time she learned about her great to the nth something grandmother, who was infamous for her involvement in the brutal crackdown of Earth Pony rebellions back in the early days of Unicornia's history, when it was split into many fiefdoms. Baroness Twinkle the Terrible, she was called. At least in some texts she'd read and promptly buried in the furthest depths of the Canterlot archives. Yo, this is just Twinkle like freaking Celestia code. Except...
Yep.
Except with Twilight instead of Celestia being that one.
Yeah. Oh, so Twinkle the Terrible. That's beautiful. Love it.
Along with the records of the other 4 or 5 dictators in her family's history.
I feel you.
Really, it's a wonder she didn't turn out to be as insane as they were. Maybe Shining was right about her Twily Nana's behavior being inherited. They actually say Twily Nana's in the show?
Yep, it's a whole thing.
Oh my god. They have a song about it, I bet.
No.
Aw.
I say it's a whole thing. It's a joke. That's like...
Oh, okay.
I don't know. I can't remember if it's a repeat joke or what. I just remember her going, Twily Nanas.
She should thank her lucky stars she hadn't gone mad with power the instant Celestia and Luna handed over the reins. This bringing back memories of Hell of a Time, where they're talking about Celestia's protege being a... What was it? It was a warfare devotee. That was it.
Oh, yeah. That's so good. That was such a funny one.
Yeah.
So, about the rest of it then?
Twilight said.
That's where I am confused.
Confused was a good word. A diplomatic word. much better than the word she wanted to use. Well, Citrus said, scanning the page. There's always going to be some amount of mixing from during the early parts of the Exodus. We've discovered that pony society was nearly driven to extinction, and they had to work more closely together just to survive. That is why you have 2% Equus sapiens Terrace and 3% Equus sapiens Pegasus DNA. It doesn't surprise me at all.
No, that's not what I'm talking about.
Twilight said with yet another quiet sigh.
Oh boy.
I understand all of that. What I don't get is the last part. The remaining 15%.
Citrus swallowed, and Twilight could see the swallow running down her throat and into her belly. The poor nervous doctor tried to smile at her, but the strain and shakiness left it looking far more akin to her own mad grins back in the day than anything soothing. Yes, I can see why that might confuse you, though in your case it's about fivefold or more. It is something we've noticed among many Canterlot unicorn families, suggesting a shared origin which may also explain the genetic drift that causes Eastern unicorns in places such as Napon. It might also have to do with Discord's reign.
Please stop.
What is Napon?
I have no idea.
Okay. I was hoping it was just a fake place.
Probably is.
Okay. Sounds like napalm,
Yeah.
which I hope the horses spell with an whatever, how you spell the word name.
You mean NEIGH, which is right
Oh,
there
that's the letters?
in front of your face?
It is not. I scrolled past it because I already read it. Twilight ordered, holding up a hoof for silence. Citrus immediately shut her mouth, trembling harder than ever.
I'm well aware of the theories. I helped write some of those back when I was Celestia's student, you fucking pawn. You're not telling me anything I don't know. What I want to know is this accurate?
See, the fucking pawn part is also another thing that Twilight wished she could have said, but didn't.
I love the idea of Twilight just fucking hating this person. Legitimately.
I don't know why, but you really annoy me.
And then they kiss. Maybe that's just me.
Yes. This is Sunset Shimmer, baby.
Sunset Shimmer's baby?
No! Citrus's eyes promptly rolled up into her skull, the poor mare toppling out of her chair, saved from cracking her skull on the marble flooring only thanks to a quick catch by Twilight's field. She set the earth pony back down on the armchair, hopped up to her hooves, and began practicing Cadence's relaxation technique. In and out. In and out.
I am calm. I am calm. I am not angry. I am calm. Oh no, I'm not calm. This is absurd. This is ridiculous. It's not that it offends me or it's bad, but it just doesn't make sense. How is it even possible? No. Twilight. Calm. It's fine. It'll all be fine. Just because there's no record historically whatsoever of how this is even possible, or how I could ever have any family that I don't know about or anything about the culture that I am apparently a small part of, that's perfectly fine. I am not calm. I'm not calm. I'm not calm. I'm upset. I'm confused. I'm freaking out.
Hey, I was supposed to read the last couple I'm upset, I'm confused part. It's not in italic anymore.
Oh, you're right. Well, alrighty then.
Twilight squealed as she clapped her forehooves to the side of her head. She spent a couple of moments screaming to herself before her lack of breathing left her lightheaded. The rush interrupted her tirade just long enough for her to get enough of a grip.
No, I can be calm. I am the princess of all Equestria. I may have only been on the job for 3 weeks, but it's fine. I can handle it.
Thus determined, she spun on her heels. A determined, if strained, smile plastered onto her muzzle. Leaning down, she aimed her horn squarely at the unconscious doctor and used a combination of Beating Heart's basic bring back to consciousness and Irana's peaceful tranquility to get Citrus both moving and calm enough to not pass out again. So, are those real spells, the Beating Heart's basic whatever?
No.
Okay. Man, they really made it sound like it was from the show.
I mean, maybe it is, but I don't think it is.
Okay. Unfortunately, she must have injected a bit too much of the latter spell, because once up, Citrus smiled far too wide and started giggling like a loon. Oh, princess, I'm so sorry I passed out like that, she said between her laughs. Oh, look at that room spin. Where were we?
This is why I tell Starlight not to use mind magic.
Twilight thought as she gave in to her overwhelming urge to smack her face with her forehoof. She ignited her horn to exert just a small, eensy-teensy amount of nullification spell for the calm, and managed to bring Citrus down to a more manageable level.
I think
She said, resuming her seat.
that you were just about to tell me if these results were accurate and how.
Oh, well, Citrus said, placing her forehoofs on the desk. She'd stopped stammering, thanks Celestia, and looked at Twilight like the professional she purported to be. It is accurate, yes, Princess. I read the test at least 6 times. The results might be unusual, but I'm certain it's correct.
But how?
Twilight pressed.
I don't understand.
Citrus leaned over and placed her chin down on her left forehoof. There's very little historical data available during the years just before and after Discord's raid, but what we do know is that it jumbled the population around quite a bit, as we could see in the genetic record. It's really quite fascinating. You see...
I'm sure it is.
Twilight interrupted with a forced, polite smile.
Fucking dumbass. But you still haven't explained how it's possible.
The doctor drew herself back, but unlike before, she showed no sign of fear or trepidation. Instead, one corner of her mouth quirked as if in amusement. Same way as any other DNA would get into your family history, Princess. Simply put, somewhere in your family tree, there are at least 6 generations of Kirins. And there it was. The word finally said aloud. The word that confused Twilight so badly it left her head spinning. She was part Kirin. Part Kirin. 15% to be precise. Just enough to influence her magic. Just enough to explain, well, a lot. I'm confused. What is significant about the Kirins?
Well, you see, Kirins have a nasty tendency to light themselves on fire when they're angry.
No! That's right, that's what you were telling me.
Yep, they are basically lion, dragon, horses.
Man.
They have, like, neck beards and stuff. They're awesome.
You mean like a mane or like a neck beard?
I mean,
Okay. So, does Twilight light herself on fire when she gets angry?
I believe they're about to say, but
Oh, boy.
fuck it, why not? Yes, she does, once at least. I don't know if this ever happens again, but yeah. So the picture for this, the Rapidash
Yeah.
looking motherfucker, yeah, that's Twilight in the episode Feeling Pinky Keen. Yet another explanation
Oh.
that I have to give with Feeling Pinky Keen.
Well, I think they're about to explain it, so I saw
Yeah.
that they said Pinky's name, so. Like her tendency to set herself on fire whenever she became too angry. Oh, there was the time she tried to comprehend Pinky's pinky sense, but that was far from the only time it had happened. So, is that like the only time in the show?
That's the only time I can remember.
Okay.
Yeah, she sets herself on fire.
Jeez.
Because she's just so angry because she can't comprehend how Pinky's pinky sense works.
And if there's no logical explanation, then it means that Twilight is dumb.
Yeah, that's the one. She's basically an atheist, except
Yeah.
like an atheist that Christians tell you about. She's like a pure flicks atheist.
Oh, God. In fact, it might happen right now. The doctor's candor set Twilight's teeth on edge. Her muscles rippled with tension. Her hackles raised. Hackles.
Heckle.
Heckle.
I don't suppose there's any way of tracking who I'm related to.
She said, her voice coming across as testy. Citrus gave a gormless shrug. We'd have to have a database of genetic samples from every curated Equestria and more besides to get an idea of that. I doubt you're that closely related to anyone around now. It was so long ago, Princess, that...
But you could do it.
Twilight growled through gritted teeth.
You could tell me who I'm related to, who I can talk to, who I need to start studying from to understand this bit of my family history I don't know.
I suppose we could try, Citrus said after a moment.
Then do it.
Doodly-doodly-doo. 2 weeks later, Twilight found herself standing outside a gaily painted house bursting to life in such vivid reds and golds it filled her mouth with a taste of autumn itself, which to her always tasted like pumpkin pie. Or maybe it was the rising odor of pie drifting from the open window. The fact that she hadn't had anything to eat during the 12 hours it took her to travel there didn't help. She raised her hoof to tap on the door, only for it to slam itself open against the wall, taking her with it, as the ever-familiar pain of blunt impact trauma filled her skull, legs, wings, and barrel. Twilight just held on to her temper. Just.
Twilight is so fucking done.
Yeah. Oh my God. Have you ever actually had a door slammed into you? Because I have.
Yep.
And it's not good. You have?
Yeah, it's painful.
Dang. I'm going to high-five you through the microphone. Yeah. Then the door slammed shut, revealing a Kieran with a coat of grayish gold and a fluffy, lion-like mane of Tangelo orange.
Oh my goodness! I'm so sorry I didn't see you there. I was just coming out because I was so happy I was going to have company. I made a pie, you see, and we're going to have lots of fun chatting together. I'm Autumn Blaze, by the way. You're Twilight Sparkle, right? You're Applejack and Fluttershy's friend. Oh, we're going to have so much fun together.
Okay, so you might have noticed that there aren't a lot of punctuation marks there. That's because Autumn Blaze is quite the talker.
Okay.
Really, how that should have sounded would be, oh my goodness, I'm so sorry I didn't see you there. I was just coming out because I was so happy I was going to have company. I made a pie, you see, and we're going to have lots of fun chatting together. I'm Autumn Blaze, by the way. You're Twilight Sparkle, right? You're Applejack and Fluttershy's friend. Oh, we're going to have so much fun together.
Oh my God.
So that's how it was supposed to be heard.
I started doing it kind of like that, but I did slow down because I wasn't exactly sure if that was what they were going for, but it did seem that way. The constant stream of noise wormed its way into Twilight's ears as she became more and more enraged by the second until, finally, inevitably, a flashpoint was reached. She screamed at the top of her lungs as her whole body ignited, her coat burning white-hot while her mane lashed out like a towering inferno for about 5 seconds. And then she was doused. Not by her own magic, but by Autumn dumping a bucket of water all over her. Trails of smoke billowed and curled into the air all around her as she stood there, her chest heaving as she scowled at Autumn with all of her hate, wishing like crazy that she'd learned some sort of death glare spell just so she could use it now.
Why?
Autumn set the bucket down with a loud clang and slung her foreleg around Twilight's neck, pulling her in hard enough to cut off Twilight's air.
Oh, you just needed to cool off a bit.
Autumn said cheerfully as she rubbed a forehoof on Twilight's waterlogged mane, frizzing out her hair everywhere.
But don't worry, I know a whole lot of anger management techniques that'll be great for handling that. I can see where you get your Kieran genes from now. You just looked like a unicorn version of a Nerik. It was so cool, but so hot at the same time. Oh, I don't mean hot like you're attractive. I mean you are, but I'm not saying I'm into you like that. Don't misunderstand. It's just going to make things awkward if you do. So maybe let's go inside and have some food?
Even more incest.
Yo, it's about time.
That's an episode.
Twilight struggled out of Autumn's grip and let out a loud groan.
Yes, let's please.
Author's note. I'm sure this has been done, but here's my take anyway. Thank you to Rainstorm Riddles for proofreading assistance. Also, thank you to Frustration in Exilis for the suggestion to change Equus Avia to Equus Progenitrix.
It's actually Frustration in Excelsis.
Oh, I don't know what I said.
Exilis.
Oh. Yeah, good enough. The end. That was Twilight Takes a DNA Test by Dewdrops on the Grass. What did we think of this one?
I was wondering if that's where that was going.
Because of the picture?
Well, I guess, yeah, that and the name. I was like, Fire hair, Twilight's taking a DNA test. Yeah, the twist ending-ish thing. I guess it's a twist. Yeah, that didn't surprise me, but it was very funny.
That was really good. Man, she looks like she's going full demon mode in this picture.
Yeah, she's pretty angry.
Man, I thought this story was like real good at building up from the beginning where she's like slightly angry and slowly gets more and more pissed off.
Yeah, she very much ends this story a lot angrier than she starts. I definitely like that build up, yeah.
I wish that we would have gotten more of like a look into her family history though. I feel like it would have had some funny moments talking about her fascist ancestors and whatnot.
Yeah, that does just sound funny. Would love to read a fic about that. But this isn't that. So I rather liked Citrus. And I rather liked imagining that Twilight just really hated Citrus.
Yeah.
Like, I think it's funnier if she just, for no real reason, fucking hates this woman.
It's like, God is the only geneticist I know, so I have to go see her, but I just don't want to.
She's the top-ranking geneticist in town or whatever.
Man, turns out Twilight's really ableist toward people with stutters.
Yeah, so Twilight.
I did realize they link to a story called The Royal Sisters Take a DNA Test by Angel Midnight, which is apparently an unofficial sequel. It does not exist. It's the Derpy 404 link.
Perhaps it's on FimFetch.
Yeah, hopefully.
But that's on FimFetch, so we won't be reading it.
Aw, man, we can't read things from FimFetch anymore. What?
I think it's a bit rude if they intentionally removed it from the site.
Oh, that's a good point.
Granted, we do have stories that we have read that have since been removed from the site, but I think it's a bit different.
We're grandfathered in, baby. You can't say anything about that. If anyone actually did want it taken down, then we'd probably take it down.
Yeah.
But they don't care.
Hopefully. Please, the Sleepless Beholder, don't make us take Is Wallflower Going to Kill Me off. It's legitimately such a funny episode. I that would hurt to delete that one.
So good. There's no reason to take that down. It was a really good story.
It was so good.
Speaking of which, we should do more Sleepless Beholder fix. Maybe another time.
Yeah.
Well, I think that wraps everything up. Thank you to everyone for listening here tonight. I have been your host, Wizzy Puff, bidding you...
Wait, Wizzy. Like the story.
Like. Boom. That is a 1-1 and a 0-0. That's a lot of likes.
Hell yeah. Good job, Wizzy. I was 1099. That is a lot of likes. Wow.
It's like with Celestia Code, was it? Where we were the 500th likes?
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah.
That was this more likes on the Celestia Code in that case.
Yeah. It's shorter. It makes sense.
I guess.
All right. Thank you for joining us. Good night.
Have a sweet dreams.
See ya. Resisting the growing urge to slam her hoof through her face. Oh no, there's a cat. Now I have the growing urge.
My urges are always growing with you, Wizzy.
I heard that.
Good, you were supposed to.
You know I don't like being objectified. I love it.
Anything for you, Wizzy.